Hello everyone. Today I will be doing a notes flip through of my MSc notes of Electrodynamics course. Notes are something which is very personal to each and every one of us. During my BSc I was taking very simple notes where I would just write down point after point as it was being covered in lectures. But I felt like that system wasn't working for me because it was not very representative of my thought process. So the process of studying became very mechanical for me and I didn't enjoy it as much. So I decided in my MSc I will study how I think and how I would like to have my notes, and accordingly I made changes to my note-taking system. So a lot of the people who see me taking notes are inquisitive about how I do this. So I'll share it with you today, say my electrodynamics notes. Just before we start, a couple of things I want to point out is all of us may have different note-taking systems. There's no right or wrong, and what is important is what works for you. And also my own note-taking system evolves from subject to subject or differs from how the lectures are being conducted and which style they are being taught. This is just one example of say my electrodynamics notes, for example this one. To get started with, you can notice that I switched from a notebook style of writing to files because they offered much more flexibility of adding pages in whichever sequence I wanted and having my own printables which I added to my notes. I'll come back to this section later. First we can start here. This was the introductory lecture in which the professor gave an outline of how he will be covering the coursework. So immediately when I opened the file, I used to get an overview of how I am supposed to be looking at this course. These are some important results from previous courses which we were going to be requiring, which was highlighted in class, so I just wrote them down and kept it for permanent reference. What I did was, the syllabus was given in a bullet form with points written one after the other, but I made each of them into a separate row in an Excel sheet and printed this out. So this is my own version of the syllabus. I had a column here for which page the corresponding section was written in my notes, and I also had a references section because for every concept teachers can recommend various different reference books and specific sections also sometimes. So it helps me keep track of all the information from which I am supposed to pick up and learn this concept. I also had 3 extra columns for my revisions, for example, but that was just nice to have. On this side, I incorporated something called a hate list, which was basically a small list of the concepts which I found to be very tricky to understand, and I was struggling with these concepts. So I kept a track of these to have it very clear in my head which are the specific concepts I want to be giving special attention to. These were some more sections I added, and this was the one in which I would keep track of my evaluations or assignments, because as you can see the assessment was very rigorous in Ferguson. We had a first internal assessment, a second internal assessment, a third one, a fourth one, and this would just be the internal assessment for 50 marks, and then for another 50 marks there used to be the final exam. So we used to be kept getting marks throughout the year, and it was getting difficult to keep track of which marks were for which assessment and for which subject, so I just had that in one condensed form. Over here, the next lecture was a recap lecture of what basic concepts we will be requiring from previous years. So starting from the basics and then slowly evolving into the more advanced concepts. As you can see, I have a peculiar style of taking notes. This is known as the Cornell method of note taking, where you divide the page into 3 sections. The one section is for titles or any subsections. This is the main part of the page where you take notes. and you have a small section at the bottom which is for summarizing in very concise words what is the key information that is contained in the part above. I also incorporated my diagrams in this section because since it was just titles, it was being very blank in between. So all my diagrams also I pushed to this as much as possible. Another thing I learned was I'm a very visual learner. So I would try to incorporate as many diagrams as possible so my learning process becomes more natural to me and going through the notes becomes easier. Here we went through a derivation and then I came up with some more detailed steps in between which made it easier for me to understand this derivation. So I pasted it above. Also, the teacher must have mentioned that this won't be required much, so I just marked that also as a do not read. On the top, I would mention the date. The reference which we were using was mainly Griffiths, so I would also mark the pages in Griffiths which had this concept linked to it, and the page number of the section. One more thing I did was anything key like formulae or tables, I would put it in a colored box. The color I associate with classical electrodynamics is yellow, so I followed a yellow color scheme throughout. I do things like that. So this was a huge derivation for multipoles. At the bottom, since this was a big derivation, it was difficult to keep track about what we were doing exactly from different steps. So when I understood this concept, I began thinking of it in a flowchart form. So I made a little flowchart in the summary section. So next time when I go through this, the concept is very consolidated in my head. I would make flags like this for very key titles or sections. This part is on electric potential of a linear electric quadrupole, electromotive force. So what I've done here is, this was the part which was covered in class, but when I referred to these Griffith sections, I found a lot of information which was interesting and key to my understanding of this concept. So I wrote them down on little post-it notes and I pasted it on top of this. So all the information stays condensed in one little place and the work goes on. If there was any special key bits of information, then I would put it in a curly box like this just to make it stand out from the rest of the derivation. I would also incorporate a lot of information in pencil, which was like supportive information, and this goes on. Even over here I have a post-it which contains extra information. This is on boundary conditions. I've put a box like I said on the key formulae and tons of diagrams in this place. This is again something I used to incorporate some additional information which was very key. I filed it over here. This part is on electric fields in material medium. Maxwell's equations I had in a formulae form, but I was more comfortable in studying it in this form. So I took a page, divided it in half and more sections. And for example, this one is differential forms of Maxwell's equation for static fields. So this had the condition, and when I opened it up, I would have the Maxwell's equations here. For good conductors, the conditions change, and so you have a slight modification to the Maxwell's equation. This is for free space, so it opens up like this again, and this is for dielectrics. Again, you can see that I think in terms of color, so I had a color for different equations which I kept consistent throughout. And this goes on. Every page, you can see it's packed with information, but I've tried to summarize it in a very short form below. This was very helpful, especially when I start revising, So after a first run of going through all the information, in subsequent revisions I can just avoid all that and just go through the summary bits, and that's it. Then it takes only like 15 minutes to revise. This was again a part where I wanted to add to the derivation, so I put in extra information and pasted it on top of this. And this goes energy, force, momentum relations. This is where we entered the second chapter. The pointing theorem is here. I would also write my doubts as I had them with a question mark in the column. As they got answered, I would incorporate them in the main section, but tons of doubts that I would have as I was going through the material, I would just keep a track of them in this section so I can easily keep a track of all the questions I had. This is going here. I think the reference changed to Panofsky and the Panofsky book. So this is PP. The wave equation, plane electromagnetic waves in a stationary medium. This goes on. This was a particularly difficult derivation which I thought, so I spent a lot of time on this. Plane electromagnetic waves in a conducting medium. This was also a very long and rigorous derivation, and I tried to, since I had the mathematical form here, I tried to convert it into a conceptual form in the summary section. So just to make sure to myself that I had understood the concept of this. We're back to boundary conditions, and yes, this is a particularly interesting section. One thing that people who see me take notes notice is my notes aren't really 2 dimensions, they exist in 3 dimensions. Like you have information, and on top of that more information, and on top of that a third layer of information. So I may have found this section to be particularly difficult, so I posted some information in my own form on top of this, and even more so, may have found a better form to put it. This section is on skin depth. I remember it being a nice concept I like to learn, especially when I looked up the applications of skin depth in various different fields, manufacturing industry, defense, material science, nuclear shielding, etc. This is something I looked up on my own. I think it was given as a homework just to see what are the different applications of skin depth, and when I did look it up, I just summarized all this information and pasted it here. This came in very handy also in my practicals of IUCAA. This is when doing little bits of homework really goes a long way in developing your knowledge. So I had a similar experiment during my practicals exam, and my external examiner asked me this question, and since I'd done my homework, I was able to provide a really comprehensive answer to this question. This is where we entered the third chapter. It didn't carry as much weightage, but it was important because it dealt with the inhomogeneous wave equation, with the Coulomb gauge, the D'Alembert operator, the gauge transformations. I've put them all in boxes because this was all new and key information. This is again additional information I've put on top to highlight it. The best thing about using a file, which I thought was, it was very convenient because I didn't have to pack separate books in my bag. My bag became super light, and I just had to carry these some empty pages, and that's it. And when I got back home, I just had to file them away in different subject files and folders. And it never so happened that the lecture changed or someone else was going to take a lecture, so I didn't have the notebook, and then I had to write it somewhere else, and it became a mess. My notes stayed super organized throughout. This was a class before the exam. It was sort of like a question bank given to us for chapter 3, 4, 5 and so on from Griffiths. The lecturer had selected specific problems and examples which we were expected to go through. So what I did was I took little screenshots of the uh, solutions manual of Griffiths for whatever problems were suggested to us, and I compiled them together and printed it out so I could really focus on these and focus on the way in which these problems were solved. This really helped me a lot in the exam. As you can see, I've made my own annotations in the margins as well. Relativity chapter was basically had very little weightage, and we were also expected to self-study bits of this. So even topics like bound charge, equation of continuity, magnetostatic boundary conditions, which you were expected to self-study, I've just summarized these in one page. So my self-study was also taken care of. This was the CE1, which you saw here, the assignment with 3 questions. I scored full in this, and this is one of my memorable assignments because it was really nice to solve these problems. The first one was on electric field of a dipole. I also switched the way in which I would be writing my assignments. So instead of writing them like just one after the other, which I was doing till BSc, I started incorporating my Cornell style of note taking in my assignments too. And then I was doing the steps here, and the significance of the step was written down here. We also had to differentiate between the electric field of a pure and physical dipole. I did that here along with a diagram. This was a problem from Griffiths. And this was another problem. So this was a particularly tricky and lengthy one. And the way I do this is then I divided it into different sections. The first section was on the method of images, where I justified why I was using a particular method for solving this problem and why it would work with this problem. The second section was a more computational one, where I had to solve a second order differential equation, but this section was more dedicated to simplifying it to a first order differential equation first, and we weren't really making any progress as far as the physics was concerned. So I separated out it here. Then this is where we solve the first order differential equation to arrive at the solution. So this is how I divided the problem solution. I also had an alternative method of working around this, so I also incorporated that in the solution too. And finally, since I didn't come up with these entirely with myself, we always end up using some references. It's always good to give credit. So I also mentioned the references I used in this section. So this was the main section of my binder. Some loose pages I have here are for the CE3, which was the seminar. So CE1 was the assignment we saw, CE2 was an internal exam test, CE3 flexible methods is presentation, and the topic I had was electrodynamic boundary conditions. CE4 was attendance and participation in class. So the ones we need to look at is assignment and presentation. Assignment were done. Presentation had 13 different topics. The 9th one was mine. And these were the points which the lecturer had pointed out he will be assessing us on. This is my presentation which I prepared. It's a printout of that. But basically I tried to incorporate first different examples of why boundary conditions are necessary. So I tried to incorporate here and like different examples of boundaries that we encounter in life and why it is essential to study boundary conditions. Then I had the integral form of the Maxwell's equation. This derivation I did on the board because it was quite mathematical. I had some graphs which I had plotted for some real life situations. I'd summarized the boundary conditions in vector form. This is an experiment I had done at home myself to sort of make a stronger point on boundary conditions. And yeah, this was the final slide. So this was my presentation. It was very well received and it helped people with boundary conditions. So it was nice. It was a nice experience for me to get to share what I had learned with other people. So this is a flip through of my classical electrodynamics subject binder from MSc. If you have anything to say, you can put it in the comment section below. This has been very useful to me throughout my MSc, and I still use components of this today. But a lot of people are new to this sort of note taking and are very curious about it, so I thought of sharing it on YouTube.